So continuing on the topic of not self, there is a very interesting sutta. I mean, the first time you read these suttas, you don't recognize the important stuff most of the time. So that's the reason why you should just think it over and over many times. In the sutta, there was a Brahmin, I think, was listening the Buddha's lecture. The Buddha was probably talking about self-view, but the Brahmin just didn't get the subtle teachings. He was not a subtle person, it looks like. So he asked the Buddha, look, why don't you just tell if there's a self or not? Just tell me. Is there a self or not? Why won't you just tell me? And the Buddha just wouldn't give him an answer. He didn't respond. So the Brahmin just left, and the Buddha told Ananda why he didn't answer. He said, if I told him there is a self, he would have taken it um, as, that higher self, that Brahmin, that, all pervading, universal consciousness, that ultimate reality, whatever. I would confirm that belief, basically. And that's a wrong belief. The reason it's a wrong belief is not that there is not, that kind of higher self or whatever. The reason is you are actually, if you know their beliefs, they are actually denying, the reality of the world. It's about that's why it's wrong actually. So, and the other reason is he said, if I told him there is no self, there is no self. If I told him that, he either would have taken me for the materialist who just deny anything, there's anything other than matter. Now, this is a very common belief system. Or, this is, I think, a critical statement. He said, or he would have taught what he appropriated as his self didn't exist. So, and he would be just bewildered. For example, most people consider their consciousness as their self, or their point of view, their perspectives, whatever. If you tell him, look, there is no self, okay, uh, what he would think is, oh, then my consciousness doesn't exist, this consciousness isn't real. This is a very common wrong view again. You either deny the reality of the world or deny the reality of consciousness. Uh, Most people just fall in those categories. But that's like wrong. You need to acknowledge those realities, even those subtle realities that aren't like material. You have to acknowledge them because um, they're part of your experience. You have to acknowledge them. So in a way, this is actually an invalid question because you're looking. I mean, you're looking like something concrete or something, you know, like an object or something when you're asking that question. But self is an appropriation, and that question is just not the right question. So the question you should be asking For example, could be, is there appropriation? And the answer to that would be, there is uh, there are degrees of appropriation if you are not an arahant. As long as you are not an arahant, there is appropriation. Okay, to a degree, you know. And most people think it is just this, figuring out. There is no self, actually. No, it is about recognizing the mistake you have been doing since forever. And if you just, I don't know, come with the view that, oh, there is no self, okay, and then you'd be denying the mistake. And there is no possibility of undoing the mistake and recognizing and undoing the mistake if you just outright deny it. I mean, what is the point? Yeah, no, are you an arahant because you claim there is no self now? What's your point? So, what you should be asking, then, there is an appropriation. So, what is it? How am I appropriate? What am I getting wrong? And you, yeah, you start to investigate inwardly. You review your mind. That is the work. What is my mind leaning towards? And what is it leaning towards, and what is it leaning away from? I mean, what is the problem really? If you are trying to get somewhere, there must be a problem. I mean, people don't convince people to accept that, but if you are, if you are craving for something, it means it is uncomfortable here. This is uncomfortable, then that's why you desire something. I mean, this is like the first step of reviewing your mind. It's like the first initial step. You can't even do that. I don't know. I mean, you have to. I don't know how. I think with restraint, I have been restrained for so long. I don't know how do you just start to contemplate. So you restraint, and when those pressures, those discomfort arise, you just reflect on that. That is your work. You can't just resolve this in theory, like, oh, okay, Buddha said this is not self, this is not self, this is not self, not, oh, okay, then you just cross over the five aggregates. Oh, this is not self, not self, not self, not self. Oh, there is nothing outside of the aggregates. That means there is no self. Oh, I just cracked the puzzle. I mean, if it were that easy, the Buddha would just tell you, okay, just say to yourself, okay, there is no self, and you would be automatically enlightened. The Buddha would just say that if it was possible like that, but it is not that easy. It is not easy at all. It is the subtlest, most subtle thing in the world, okay? You could just reason your way, theorize your way, or just chant a mantra your way into enlightenment. Just do the dirty work of just digging up the mistake. Okay.